Imagine you are standing at the customer service counter of a large supermarket.
Oh, that can be such a stressful spot to be in.
Right. You have a carton of sour milk in one hand, your receipt in the other.
And there is always a line of like 5 impatient people standing behind you.
Exactly. Just staring and checking their watches. The cashier looks at you, waiting for you to speak, and suddenly every English word you have ever learned just evaporates from your brain.
Yeah, that checkout line panic is very real.
It really is. You are caught in this terrible middle ground where you don't want to sound rude or demanding, but you also, really want your money back. So hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rick's English channel, where learning English is simple, useful, and fun.
It is great to be back, and today we are diving into a very useful, real-life topic that almost everyone has to face eventually.
We really are. Today's deep dive is all about learning how to confidently return or exchange items at the grocery store in English.
Because it is a universal experience, right? And for our listeners tuning in, we're going to keep the vocabulary very simple today.
Yeah, our speaking pace will be relaxed and easy to follow.
Exactly. Our main goal is to help you learn polite, natural phrases so you never have to feel nervous at the store again.
Returning items can feel especially uncomfortable in a second language because, well, the cultural rules of politeness can be invisible.
Oh, absolutely. Nobody wants to stand at a counter and accidentally issue someone just because they chose the wrong verb.
Right. I actually like to think of polite English phrases as social shock absorbers.
Oh, I like that comparison. How so?
Well, when you drive a car over a big bump in the road, the shock absorbers don't change the fact that you hit a bump.
Right, the bump is still there.
Exactly. But they absorb the impact so nobody in the car spills their coffee. The phrases we are covering today do exactly that.
Yeah, they don't change the fact that you were demanding a refund, which is the bump in the road.
Exactly. But they make the interaction smooth enough that nobody gets upset. It's kind of like following a simple recipe. If you have the right ingredients, meaning the correct polite phrases, it works perfectly every time without any stress.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it. And the foundational thing to remember before you even open your mouth is that stores completely expect returns.
Right. It's not a surprise to them.
Not at all.
Yeah.
From the perspective of the grocery store management, a return item is just routine data.
Oh, wow. So they really don't take it personally.
Nope. Whether a carton of food is expired, a package got crushed during shipping, or a cashier made a scanning error, these are normal, hourly occurrences. Our mission today is to give you the shock absorbers to handle these situations calmly.
That makes a lot of sense. But to even begin the process, we have to know where to go, right? You can't just walk up to a random person stocking apples and hand them your bad milk.
Yeah, please don't do that. They will be very confused.
Right. You're looking for a very specific place in the store, usually marked by a sign that says customer service desk, or sometimes just returns and exchanges.
But if you are in a massive, unfamiliar supermarket, you are probably going to have to ask an employee for directions.
And the sources suggest starting that interaction with a very specific two-word phrase, which is, excuse me. So, excuse me, where is the customer service desk?
Excuse me is arguably the most important phrase in your entire vocabulary for navigating a store.
Really? Just those two words?
Absolutely. It acts as a verbal tap on the shoulder. In English-speaking cultures, interrupting a worker who is busy stocking shelves can be seen as intrusive. Starting with, excuse me, acknowledges that you are interrupting them, which immediately signals respect.
Okay, so once you successfully navigate to the desk, you have to decide what your end goal actually is. We have two main categories of solutions, right? A return versus an exchange.
Yes, and it's important to know the difference.
If I understand this correctly, a return means handing the item over and getting your cash or credit back.
Yeah.
You are reversing the entire transaction.
Exactly, you are getting a refund.
Right. An exchange, on the other hand, means you still want the product. You just don't want that specific broken version of the product. You want to swap it.
That captures the difference perfectly. And this distinction brings us to the first major hurdle of phrasing. When you step up to the customer service counter with your item, the most direct translation from your native language might lead you to say, I want to return this.
Which sounds completely logical. I mean, you have a desire, so you state it, I want, but I'm guessing that phrase lacks those social shock absorbers we talked about.
It lacks them entirely. In English, stating I want to pay, a service worker can sound harsh, demanding, or even a bit childish.
Wow, really? Just from saying I want?
Yeah. This comes down to a cultural concept known as negative politeness. English-speaking cultures, particularly in North America and the UK, place a high value on not imposing on other people.
Oh, I see.
So when you say I want, you are giving a direct command. Our sources highly recommend softening this by using the phrase, I'd like to return this, please.
I'd like to, which is the shortened version of I would like to. It's fascinating how adding the word would completely changes the psychology of the sentence.
It really does. It frames your demand as a mere preference.
Right. It creates this polite fiction where you are giving the worker a choice in the matter, even though you both know they have to process the return.
You are hitting on the exact mechanism of why it works. It reduces the friction. Saying, I'd like to return this, please, sets a collaborative tone rather than an adversarial one.
Let me test this logic. Let's say I bought a carton of milk, I get home, and I realize the seal is broken. I don't want my money back. I still need milk for my morning cereal.
Okay, so you just want a safe, sealed carton.
Exactly. Since I'm just swapping it, I am asking for an exchange. So, applying the polite phrasing we just discussed, I could hold up the bad milk and ask, could I exchange it for a fresh one?
Yes, that is a flawless application of the concept. Could I functions the same ways I'd like to. It softens the request.
Could I exchange it for a fresh one?
It is clear, simple, and incredibly polite.
Awesome. So, we have located the desk, and we have politely established if we want a refund or a swap. Now comes the part that I think terrifies language learners the most.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
The worker is inevitably going to look at the item and ask, what's wrong with it?
They have to ask this. Their computer system actually requires them to select a reason for the return from a drop-down menu. But for a non-native speaker, this question can trigger a huge panic response.
I've seen this happen so many times. When someone asks, what's wrong with it? It feels like you're suddenly on trial in a courtroom.
Yes, exactly.
You feel guilty, as if the store suspects you of trying to steal from them. So people start over-explaining. They give a 5-minute backstory like, well, I woke up this morning and I was making breakfast for my daughter and I poured the milk.
And it just goes on and on.
Right.
It is a very natural human instinct to over-justify yourself when you feel defensive. But the customer service worker does not need the backstory. They just need one piece of factual data to satisfy their computer system.
So the advice here is to keep it incredibly short and simple. Treat it as a fact-reporting mission, not a trial.
Exactly. Let's look at the 3 most common problems you will face with groceries. Starting with an item being expired, meaning the safe date to consume it has passed.
The sources shared a great story about this. Someone went to the store and bought a large carton of premium orange juice. They carried it all the way home, put their groceries away, poured a glass, and then happened to glance at the printed date on the carton.
Oh no. Let me guess.
Yep, it had expired the day before.
A classic grocery store tragedy.
Right. And the person noted they actually debated just drinking it anyway to avoid the hassle of going back to the store.
We have all been there.
But they ultimately decided to return it, reasoning that while they really like orange juice, they also really like staying alive.
That is a very fair point.
So they drove all the way back. When they get to the counter, how do they concisely report that fact without telling the whole story?
All they need to say is, it's expired. That is the entire explanation.
Oh, that's really simple.
If you want to put it into the polite sentence pattern we've been building, you would say, hi, I'd like to return this orange juice because it's expired.
Short, sweet, and to the point. What if the food inside is completely fine, but the physical packaging got ruined? Say, a box of cereal got crushed under a heavy bag of dog food during transit.
The specific vocabulary word for that situation is damaged. You simply tell the worker the package is damaged.
Okay, so using our full pattern, it becomes, hi, I'd like to return this because the package is damaged.
Precisely.
Okay, let's cover the worst case scenario. The expiration date is fine. The package looks perfectly normal on the outside. But you get home, you open the container of strawberries, and the ones at the very bottom are covered in mold. They've gone bad.
Yeah. The broader vocabulary word for food that has gone bad is spoiled. You can place the item on the counter and say, I think this is spoiled. Or, to point out the specific issue, you could say, the fruit was bad inside.
I'm noticing a pattern here. You didn't just say, this is spoiled. You added the phrase, I think. I think this is spoiled. It feels like another one of those shock absorbers.
It definitely is. Adding, I think, makes the statement less aggressive.
Because if you march up to the counter and declare, this food is spoiled,
you are essentially accusing the store of selling rotten goods. But by saying, I think this is spoiled, you are inviting the worker to look at it and agree with you. It preserves their dignity while still getting you exactly what you want.
That makes total sense.
Oh.
So you can have the most perfectly formulated, polite explanation for your sour milk or your moldy fruit, but it all falls apart if you cannot actually prove you bought the item at that specific store.
Oh, definitely. The burden of proof is on you, the customer.
Which brings us to the official term, proof of purchase. In a grocery store, this almost always means your receipt, right? A little slip of paper printed at the cash register or increasingly emailed to you.
Yes, and the sources playfully warn against what they call dangerous grocery behavior, which is the habit of throwing your receipt away too quickly.
I am incredibly guilty of this dangerous behavior.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the second the cashier hands me that receipt, I crumple it into a tiny ball. Half the time, I toss it into the trash can outside the store before I even start my car. It just feels like unnecessary clutter.
It is a very common habit, but a risky one. Because when you attempt a return, the worker's very next question after asking what is wrong will be, do you have your receipt?
And if you do, the process takes about 10 seconds.
Exactly. But if you crumpled it up and threw it away, you have created a complication. The worker might then ask, did you pay with cash or card?
Because if you paid with a debit or credit card, the modern computer systems can usually just scan your card again and search their database to find your exact transaction.
Yes, the card itself becomes your proof of purchase. But let's say you paid with physical cash and you threw the receipt away.
Go away.
You are in a very tough spot. The store has no physical or digital proof that you didn't just walk in, grab the item off the shelf, and bring it straight to the service desk for free money.
Right. So if you find yourself in this situation, you need a highly diplomatic phrase. You should look at the worker and ask, I lost the receipt. Is there anything you can do?
I lost the receipt. Is there anything you can do that places you at their mercy, acknowledging they have the power to help or deny you?
But I'm going to be honest here and push back on this a little bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
If I know for an absolute fact that I spent $20 hard-earned dollars on ruined meat at their store, my instinct is to fight for my cash back, receipt or no receipt. Are you saying I just have to let the store win? Should I stand my ground and demand a cash refund?
You really shouldn't, and it's not about letting the store win. It is about understanding the mechanical limitations of the worker's job.
What do you mean by mechanical limitations?
Well, the cash register is literally programmed to lock the cash drawer unless a receipt barcode is scanned or a manager overrides the system. Fighting aggressively for cash without a receipt puts the worker in an impossible position and creates a stressful public scene.
Ah, I see.
Instead, if you ask politely, the store will likely offer a compromise known as store credit.
Store credit. Meaning they don't hand you $20 bills, but they hand you a plastic gift card loaded with $20, which can only be used at their specific grocery chain.
Correct. Gracefully accepting store credit is the mature, practical move here. You retain the value of your money to buy future groceries, and the store protects itself from fraud. It is a win-win resolution.
That does make practical sense, even if it's frustrating in the moment. So we've covered what happens when the physical paper receipt is missing, but what about when the paper's right there in your hand, but the numbers printed on it are completely wrong?
Yeah.
Like the food is fine, but the computer system made an error.
You are describing the classic wrong price discrepancy. This occurs when the shelf price, like the promotional sign you saw hanging below the coffee, advertising it for $3, does not match the receipt price, which shows the computer system charged you $5.
I think this scenario actually frustrates people more than spoiled food. It feels sneaky. How do we address this politely in English without sounding like we are accusing them of theft?
The sources provide another excellent rolled-in phrase for this. I think I was charged the wrong price.
Okay, let's break down the mechanics of why this sentence is so effective. Just like we discussed earlier, starting with, I think softens the approach, right?
Exactly. It leaves room for the possibility that the sign on the shelf was old or the computer just hasn't updated yet.
So you aren't pointing an angry finger and yelling, your store stole $2 from me. You are calmly stating, I think there is a discrepancy here.
Furthermore, the word charged specifies that the store's system required you to pay a certain amount. So I think I was charged the wrong price. Clearly defines the problem while entirely avoiding hostility.
And when the worker checks the shelf and verifies you are correct, the store will perform an action called refunding the difference.
Refunding the difference, exactly.
Let's make sure that's clear for the listener. If you paid $5 at the register and the sign said $3, they are not going to hand you back all $5 and let you keep the coffee for free.
No, definitely not.
They're simply going to calculate the difference between the two numbers, in this case, $2, and hand that extra money back to you.
Precisely. Now, we've spent a lot of time on situations where the store is at fault, right? Bad food, bad packaging, bad computer prices. But what happens when the store did everything right and you, the customer, made a genuine mistake?
Oh, this brings up my absolute favorite anecdote from our source material.
It's a great one.
Imagine this. Someone is rushing through the grocery store because they are planning to bake homemade sugar cookies. They sprint to the dairy aisle, grab a block of butter, pay, and rush home.
Sounds normal so far.
Right. But they start mixing the dough, and suddenly their kitchen smells like an Italian restaurant. They look at the wrapper and realize they accidentally bought garlic butter.
Which would make for an incredibly memorable and probably terrible sugar cookie.
A total disaster. So the food is perfectly safe, the receipt is accurate, but you just grabbed the wrong thing. In this situation, the phrase you want to use is, I bought the wrong item by mistake. Can I exchange it?
The phrase by mistake is doing a tremendous amount of heavy lifting in that sentence.
How so?
It is a brilliant conversational tool because it openly admits fault. It tells the worker, I messed up, there is no malicious intent here, I just wasn't paying attention.
That makes sense.
When you humbly admit a mistake, human nature takes over, and it instantly makes the customer service worker want to help you fix it.
You can also combine it with your original intention. You could say, I meant to buy the regular butter, but I bought the garlic butter by mistake. It explains the whole situation in one simple sentence.
However, there is a very strict industry rule to remember when you are the one who made the mistake, which is the opened versus sealed rule.
This is where honesty becomes crucial, right?
Absolutely. If you bought the wrong item and you have already opened the packaging, grocery stores will almost never accept it back.
Oh, because of health rules.
Yes, due to strict health and safety regulations. They cannot resell an open food item, it just has to be thrown in the garbage. But if the item is still sealed, meaning the factory packaging is completely closed, airtight, and uncompromised, then they can easily restock it on the shelf and they will usually exchange it without a problem.
So if you already ripped open the foil on that garlic butter before realizing your mistake, you might just have to accept your fate and learn to love garlic cookies. You have to be honest with the worker when they ask if it has been opened.
You really do. And this highlights a broader point. Memorizing the correct vocabulary phrases is only half the battle. How you deliver those phrases, your tone of voice, and how you handle disappointment if things don't go your way, that ultimately dictates your level of fluency.
Tone is so easily affected by stress. When we are frustrated or when we are struggling to find words in a second language, our vocal volume naturally increases. Our voices can get sharper without us even realizing it.
Which is why you must consciously regulate your tone. Keep your voice calm, serious, but fundamentally polite. Remember the bigger picture here. The customer service worker standing across the counter did not personally leave that milk out to spoil.
Right. It's not their fault.
They didn't personally program the wrong price into the computer. They are just the designated problem solver. Treating them with respect makes them want to solve your problem faster.
They're essentially your ally in the store. But we have to acknowledge reality. Sometimes, even if you do everything right, they are going to say no. They might look at the item and say, I'm sorry, store policy says this is a final sale. It is not returnable.
Rejection happens. If you firmly but politely disagree with their assessment, you have one escalation option. You can calmly ask, could I speak with a manager, please?
A manager is the supervisor. They are the person in charge who actually possesses the authority in the computer system to override the standard rules and make special exceptions.
Yes, but you must ask calmly. If you demand a manager loudly, you will be viewed as a hostile threat, not a valued customer.
And what if the manager comes over, listens to your case, and also says no?
Then you have reached the end of the road. You have to accept defeat gracefully. Our sources suggest a very mature, culturally fluent phrase to use in this exact moment, which is, okay, I understand. Thank you anyway.
Thank you anyway. I want to pause on that because some listeners might be wondering, is it really worth saying thank you anyway if they literally didn't help you? You are walking out of the store with a box of crushed cereal and no refund. Why give them a thank you?
It is a profound question. You say thank you anyway because you are acknowledging the worker's time and effort. They listened to your explanation, they checked the store policy, and they communicated the reality to you.
It's about basic respect.
Yes.
Yes.
Saying thank you anyway keeps the interaction civil. More importantly, it demonstrates an incredibly high level of cultural fluency in English. It proves that you are in complete control of your emotions and your language, even when you are disappointed. It is the ultimate social shock absorber.
I love that perspective. It shows quiet confidence. Okay, before we wrap up this deep dive into navigating grocery returns, let's briefly review the most important phrases we've unpacked today.
If you write nothing else down, remember these three core phrases. First, when you initiate the interaction at desk, soften your demand by saying, "I'd like to return this, please."
Second, if the computer system overcharged you compared to the sign on the shelf, calmly state, "I think I was charged the wrong price."
And third, always be prepared to answer the question, "Do you have your receipt?" Either hand it over immediately or gently ask for help by saying, "I lost the receipt. Is there anything you can do?"
And remember, speaking slowly, clearly, and politely is infinitely more effective than trying to speak fast.
Absolutely. No one is grading you on your speed.
Well, this has been an incredibly practical deep dive. If this lesson helped you feel more confident about your next trip to the store, please take a moment to subscribe to Rick's English channel, give this video a like, and share it with a friend who is also mastering the English language.
We also have a question for everyone watching on YouTube. We want to hear from you in the comments section. Have you ever had to return or exchange something at a grocery store in an English-speaking country?
Yeah, what happened? Was it a simple mistake, like the garlic butter, or something completely unexpected? Let us know down below.
We always love reading your real-life stories in the comments.
To leave you with a final thought to mull over today, think about how polite language does so much more than just fix a minor grocery store problem. It actually builds a bridge between cultures. When you choose to use a phrase like, "I think I was charged the wrong price," instead of getting angry or defensive, you're not just practicing English vocabulary. You are mastering the delicate art of human connection in a new language. You are showing that you understand the culture, and you are earning respect in return.
Yeah.
Keep practicing those conversational shock absorbers, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.